Hey guys, it's me, Bob Wulff from the Wolf Den here. Listen, I was just made aware this is a family-friendly zone. Gotta tell you, gotta be real. Said the F word a lot in this podcast. You're gonna want to hide the kids for this when we get a real saucy here. Sorry about it. Not sorry at all. Last episode, 250, going out with a bang.
It's true. I also partook after like Bob's fourth
influence here.
I was like, all right, let's do it. You might want to blank out that one right there because it would be in the first couple of seconds of the podcast on YouTube. Even though that doesn't matter, it's not monetized. Who cares? Anyway, listen to the podcast. Goodbye. Yo,
Yay.
What up? Hello, we're here. Everybody but Dan, because OBS does not like your feed at all. Anyway, welcome to Directly to You. It's the Redirect Podcast. It's episode 250, the last normal episode you'll ever see, ever. I'm AJ. I'm joined by Parker. We're collectively Redirect, and we are also collectively joined by Bob Wulff from Wolf Den. Boo.
Good to see you.
Dan Cybert from that Cybert channel.
That's me.
Also, their Twitters are on the screen if you're watching the video version. They do stuff. They make videos.
Where's my threads? Where's my threads at?
Where's the threads?
Isn't it the same thing? It's the same thing.
No, it's the Wolf Den.
Oh my god!
I consolidated because Will left me.
Fair enough. Oh, and Parker also did me wrong, man. Because I had to make the lower thirds again, and this man put it's Parker the deal. Instead of Parker
it's because
Deal.
Instagram, somebody already had Parker Deal on Instagram like forever ago. It's the only place that I don't get to have my own name. And it was like, oh, we've already got you covered. It's Parker the Deal. I'm like, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the other one's there.
Bob Wulff on Instagram is the guy from Adobe.
Oh yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah. And he has like 2 pictures, and it's him and his family from like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I hate to see it.
I remember
hate to see family, gross.
I remember that whole fiasco.
They don't want to see him and his family. They want to see me and my little console.
With my little modded consoles and my click clacks.
When he got Bob Wulff, that wasn't true yet. So
good point.
So it works out. But anyway, we're here to talk about Nintendo's financial stuff because that's always fun. That's always a good time to talk about. That's the thing that they did. It's not. I mean, it's good news for them. But there's also some cringe here. So,
yes.
A smattering of a lot of different stuff. There's good, there's bad, there's cringe. So let me, while I'm pulling
let's
this
go.
up,
Yeah.
You bring it in, Parker.
Hey, everybody. Hello. All right. So, a couple things. We got the annual report. There's a 95-page document that I didn't look at, but other people did and pulled some things out of it. One thing was, sure, we'll do this one first. Miyamoto is making some money. We know who's Shuntaro Furukawa is making the most money at Nintendo at $2.51 million a year. Miyamoto at $2 million. Some other people at different amounts. And people have compared that to like Bobby Kotick, however you pronounce his name, at $155 million, which is
crazy.
Gross.
That is
insane.
It is crazy. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if that's like Miyamoto's entire net worth. If not, like, it's more than his entire net worth, which is
what
What
is Activision worth versus what Nintendo's worth? Do we know that?
I mean, we could find out.
I'd imagine Nintendo's worth at least the same.
Nintendo network. So the only thing is Activision has I mean, it's close. Nintendo's at 57 billion and Activision's at 67 billion, but Activision I think also has, like King and stuff with Candy Crush. I'm pretty sure under that still. So like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I would think Nintendo would be worth more.
I mean,
You'd like to think so, right?
Yeah. Granted, Nintendo doesn't as aggressively monetize as other game companies, so like relative to like their size and like their impact in the gaming world, Their monetary value is
because with the mobile games and stuff, Activision is pulling in.
Yeah,
they're just in everyone's pockets.
And also like Pokemon as a separate thing, and also all that, like Nintendo working with a bunch of different third parties and stuff that just aren't related to them, but like work with them kind of in their, that whole thing. Like, because Pokemon is, semi-separate. They're 92 billion for just Pokemon. Like that's, I mean, obviously they own part of some of that, but like, as opposed to Activision where it includes all of the things like, the King stuff, Blizzard, whatever, all under one roof. So I don't know. Still gross for that guy, but cool for Nintendo, I guess.
It also
good for them.
It shows like a difference in priorities for sure too, right? Because like the American executive is more like self-preserving in the sense that it's like, hey, this company could go bottoms up at any time. I want to walk out of it a billionaire. And the executives at Nintendo are like, hey man, I just want to make sure I have a job for the rest of my life. So I want to make sure that the company's good, like
Nintendo, those people at Nintendo are more willing to give everybody else a good work environment. They're trying to make decisions that are best for the company versus Bobby Kotick, who's like, I'm the problem, but I ain't leaving until I get just an absolute fuck ton of money. And if that means this whole company's going down and laws have to change globally, then so be it. He's like literally ruining people's lives just staying there. Whereas in Japan, they would just, take one for the team if they had to, like Iwata did. A lot of these articles talk about how Iwata during the Wii U era slashed his pay because they were doing so bad.
He would never do. Bobby Kotick would never, ever do that.
No.
In fact, he does the
Alec
opposite.
asked a good question.
Did the opposite. Yeah, they were doing bad. True. He paid himself more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I know, and even, I mean, either way, he's getting a raise. He's like, record sales, the most amount of revenue that we've ever had. I want a raise. Can't afford that raise, so I'm laying off 800 people. But good news is, I got a raise.
Yeah.
So that's the equivalent of going to the gym, really working your ass off, and then like eating an entire thing of cookies.
But you can't
just go, I did good today.
Exactly. But you were bringing up something Alex said.
Oh yeah, Alec mentioned, does Japan have a maximum wage law? Because that's possible. I looked it up and I'm not smart enough to read fast enough. So there's, I don't think so, that I can tell. So
also, you would think that like if that was the case, and they cared about that sort of thing, they would just relocate Miyamoto and like their top execs to other countries that do not, So
I mean, when I'm looking it up, it says the upper range of salaries is blah 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 blah, but there's no maximum salary, or maybe there isn't. Again, I'm not smart enough, so maybe it's the answer to that question.
I also think it's kind of crazy. I mean, it makes sense. It aligns with even Activision in the sense Miyamoto making less money than Furukawa is kind of weird to me. Like he's the executive, obviously, but Miyamoto is like he like essentially made this,
he's Miyamoto.
I mean, I guess that's like, I wonder if that's a Japan kind of just culture thing a little bit, where it's like just the person that's in charge is going to make the most money. Because I do feel like if it were America, probably, the person that's got like seniority in terms of, the Miyamoto of a business probably would just like fight for the most money. Because like, well, I'm Miyamoto. You can get a new president.
Yeah,
but
seniority, but also
whatever.
like value to the company.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, he like, and the year of our Lord 2023, like in terms of like his current output, he's definitely not as valuable to the company as Furukawa is right now. So maybe that's why. And I don't know if this salary includes any type of like equity that he has in the company, if he even has much to write home about, like I don't know how that all shakes up for Nintendo, because that's a big part of it with Bobby Kotick too, right? Where like not all of that's liquid. They're not just dropping $100 billion in cash and being like, here's money. That like a good portion of what he makes is stock in the company.
That's part of the problem and part of why he's so involved in the sale, Bobby Kotick, because he wants to cash out.
Yep.
And that's what makes that so toxic. I'd imagine that the people at Nintendo probably don't have a lot of their assets tied up in equity, because then there would be more incentive to do weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really kind of a culture thing. More like this speaks so much about the culture between an American company and a Japanese company.
Yeah.
It's true. I wonder how much Reggie got paid.
Can we look that up?
Doug Bowser's salary. I mean, it's not Reggie's, but what is Doug Bowser's salary?
I mean, probably
he earns an average of 3.4. Wait, no. Yeah, 3.4 million.
That's
so
crazy.
He makes more than Furukawa.
I mean, see, okay,
What?
That's crazy.
that's crazy, but also it's not, because like he can bargain that pretty easily and be like, well, this is what CEOs make around this area, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm worth this much. But that's nuts. Like,
That's
is.
crazy.
if I'm
It's nuts
Miyamoto,
because he doesn't have as much pull as the guys in Japan.
if I'm Miyamoto, I'm knocking on their door right now and I'm like, I want a $1 billion raise.
I need 1 billion now.
Man,
It's nuts.
that's great. You know who doesn't have a lot of pull though at Nintendo apparently?
And definitely
ladies.
needs a raise for sure.
Yes.
They need raises.
Yes. So yeah, that was an interesting thing to come out of this too, is that like 2 years ago, 2021, that's what 2 years ago was. I know that. They said there are 4.2% of their managers are women at Nintendo, and they said we're going to do better than that. And they raised it all the way to the same. It's still 4.2 2 years later.
And didn't it like go down globally? I think it went down.
Maybe.
I think it did.
It was like 27% globally or something like that, and then it went down to like 24 or something,
Man.
which is ridiculous. Like, it's not cool.
Yeah.
I can't even like we just named multiple like male executives. I can't name a single female executive at Nintendo.
It's a Japan thing, I think.
What do you mean? Like that we can't name a woman that's an
culturally?
executive?
No, they culturally just don't. They're a little misogynistic,
Yeah.
especially in business.
But then that doesn't make sense here though. Because, you know, like the Doug Bowser, you know, that had a cultural patch. It's like, here, CEOs.
Oh, you mean it?
Yeah, like even in
mean,
America,
like-
I can't. There, who I've never encountered a female executive at Nintendo.
They've got to go through Nintendo Japan to make any of those types of big decisions.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you right. You right.
That's true.
Alex said, well, Krista left, and I had the exact same thought, which
Was
is
she an executive?
funny. I don't think so. I think technically
she was,
Kit was.
They were a lot higher
She
up than I
definitely
was
had a
expecting.
managerial position for sure. So yeah,
She was like head of marketing, I think. She was like really high up. But you know, not like I don't know if I'd consider that an exec, but she was relatively high up there. And she had to deal with Japan a lot, and she had some choice words.
Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
Specifically with what's his name? I'm having a stroke. Smash Brothers guy.
Miyamoto. I mean,
Sakurai?
Sakurai.
Yeah.
Apparently that was very difficult.
We all had a collective stroke.
Yeah.
She ran the campaign for Smash Brothers Ultimate, and that was a lot of back and forth with the.
Yeah.
What the hell's his name?
Sakurai. Yeah, Masahiro Sakurai. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. It's the whole thing with Kid Icarus.
Fake
he's
fan.
not a Smash Brothers dev anymore. He's a Kid Icarus dev.
Right. He's a YouTuber now.
Yeah, YouTuber. Yeah, famed
He
YouTuber.
retired, yeah.
Masahiro
Man, I
Sakurai.
still
Famous-
wish he would dub those in English, because like AJ and I talk about it all the time, but like they're really interesting, but I just don't have the time or attention
you're
span.
A dubbed, not subbed guy.
You know, in
Yeah.
theory, if I
Wow.
weren't
cringe.
when I had more time and such, yeah, I'd watch like, you know, an episode of My Hero subbed or something at night, and I could not be bothered.
Just
at
be
this
a
point,
weeb like Bob and learn Japanese, so you can just listen.
Yeah,
to
there
it
you
all
go.
the time.
You know what?
I did Duolingo for 2 weeks. I know it well enough.
Trying to learn Japanese is great at making you not want to watch anime anymore, because now I feel like I have to watch it
Oh yeah, homework.
subbed, and I don't. I watched a lot more when it was.
Oh, so you're adult versus sub guy.
I was, and now I'm a sub. And don't take that. Don't. I went blurry. But yeah, now I just don't watch it because I don't have the time to sit there and watch it. But Iwata's, what the fuck is his name? Sakurai. His stuff is
Sakurai.
very
You
short.
said every other exec except him.
I know. It's short, so you watch it for like 3 minutes and then it's done. So suck it up.
Yeah.
Duly noted to suck it up. The last little bit for this is a fun one. Is that this June for Nintendo in Japan specifically was their highest selling June ever. Look at that. Switches are still making the money. We're never going to get a next gen console.
We got like a 20% drop in year-over-year sales. Even though the console hasn't dropped in MSRP since the day it launched. In fact, the primary SKU went up $50. Like it's dead. It's dead in the water, man. The Switch 2, we need it. We need it, or the company is in the hole.
You mean I can't play my games in 4K? We need another console, or else Nintendo's going under.
Yeah, it's
No, 8K.
I need
8K.
DLSS.
8K.
Oh yeah, true. Future proof.
Now.
You gotta future proof it. So we
Future
don't.
proof 8K or get the hell out.
Right.
Yeah, man. Otherwise, next generation.
The new hot topic. The new hot topic is we need touch pads in the Joy-Con.
You know what? I do want to.
That's a new thing I heard today from multiple
What?
people.
See, that's not a thing on the docket right now, but that is something I thought last minute. I was like, I want to talk to Bob about this because I have no direct experience with it. So we'll do it after when we get to the other new stuff.
Okay.
Steam Deck. We want to talk Steam Deck stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, on that note too, I watched a short you put up recently, Bob, talking about like people didn't like the Switch in 2017 kind of thing. And that it's so funny to think back to that, where like all the criticisms of it at that time of like super short battery life are like now everything's got shorter battery life than it. And it's a funny little time.
I thought about that. I think about that all the time. Like I think about the very small launch lineup that everybody criticized. I think about the kickstand and the battery life. And the battery life hit me when I was playing the Asus Ally or the Steam Deck or one of those, and it died in like 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
And I was like, how come nobody's talking about the battery life of these? But the Switch was absolutely lambasted when that came out.
Because that's the expectation now.
I remember that the Vita also got flamed for having a very short battery life. That battery life is phenomenal by today's standards. It's over like 6 hours, I think.
Wow.
And back then, people were like, that's insane. How am I supposed to play a game for less than 6 hours?
Yeah, because back then the standard was like 20 on the DS, you know? Like
Back then, our phones would last a week.
Good old days.
Yeah. Now, when you watch a review on a phone, they go, you get a whole day of battery life. Yay! And a day is like 12 hours.
They're like, man, I haven't plugged in my phone in at least 12 hours. I just plugged it in at lunch, and at lunch, and it lasted me till dinner time. That's crazy.
Look, Alyssa can kill her phone battery in 4 hours. I don't know how she does it, but she can just absolutely devastate her phone
She's
so
got
fast.
like the screen from Back to the Future 2
of phones.
Yeah,
she's
got the
testing
screen from Back to the Future 2
battery.
where it's like picture in picture in picture in picture, and it's just like everything going on at once. You know,
She's texting
when they go to the future. That's
she's
the one.
testing 16K game streaming for all of us on the
tracks.
Nintendo
100.
Switch 2, man.
Yeah,
She got the dev kit.
Oh, we got the dev kit downstairs? What the hell?
No, she has the dev kit. You're
not allowed.
You don't know how to kill a phone
Sorry.
battery. But yeah, are we done with the financial report?
Yeah, I think so. Stuff's selling well. So good job, Nintendo. Year 7, doing good.
They're making
I
all
thought you
the
were going to
money.
bring up the Splatoon guy that.
Oh yeah,
when
we
you
talked
said the
about
thing
that.
about women, I thought you were going to talk about how the Splatoon guy.
I think we
wanted
talked
more.
about that when he derailed the whole thing to be like,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
the
yeah, I
female
forgot about that.
customization's not. I mean, is too good compared to the male customization. Yeah, we talked about that. Cringe.
Man, it was funny.
Yeah,
like
less options for women. That's what we want.
That I love that people are now just like buying stock just to go there and ask dumb questions. I mean, I don't love it because like it, kind of uses up the question slot for like interesting stuff, but also it's good lols, so I'll take it.
Although to be fair, the people that already own stock to begin with didn't ask great questions either. Like also they're not asking questions that like they're asking questions that I would like the answers to, but it's not smart ones that are gonna get answers. They're not gonna answer it, and we know that, but they don't know
ask
that.
Those.
They're like, hey, the other companies I own stock in would answer this, so why don't you?
They're like, I heard mobile games are cool now. Are you gonna do more mobile games?
Exactly. What do you think about an NFT?
Yeah, here NFTs are cool. What do you think about a Mario NFT? I made one already. Do you want to look at it?
Do you want to look at it?
Does he carry over to other games? Like he's a gun in Fortnite? Is that how that?
Yo, Nintendo.
I think you should make Mario a gun in Fortnite.
Nintendo been in the NFT game.
Thank you for your time.
Passively. Pokemon are literally just NFTs. They're NFTs, man.
Don't you spend your My Nintendo points on little NFTs?
That's also true. That's also true. But anyway, other news, other stuff.
So yeah, that's stuff. Other stuff. We got a little thing. Takaya Nomura, who had worked on F-Zero, said F-Zero is never coming back. Everybody hates it now. No, basically just said that he thinks the reason that F-Zero hasn't been revived is because Mario Kart is Nintendo's most popular racing game. So it's just like, why bother? Kind of a thing. The exact quote is, so why do you think F-Zero gets less attention from the company than Star Fox does? There hasn't been a new F-Zero game for almost 20 years now. I think it's because Mario Kart is Nintendo's most popular racing game, and a new F-Zero would cost a fortune. My impression is that Miyamoto-san is very affectionate about Star Fox.
Bob
there it is.
Famously hates F-Zero, loves Captain Falcon. Thoughts?
Yes. I don't think there's a way to bring F-Zero back in the traditional sense. However, they could bring it back and they'd have to just change everything about it. Yep. And I think the perfect way is just make it Burnout. Just make Burnout, but with F-Zero characters where you hit other cars and stuff, and make it like a violent Mario Kart.
The Mario Kart's not already violent?
No, that's baby stuff.
Want to hit another guy, it goes into slow motion and watch them explode. I want to see.
The crash mode from Burnout Crash or whatever one? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
good times.
That would work. You can't just do like a normal racing game now. F-Zero if it's coming back, it has to come in such a different form that it's indistinguishable from Mario Kart.
I think that's also something that not enough like companies that are talking about this sort of stuff pay enough attention to, unless the critical mass of like the IP matters so much that they're like, okay, we got to think about this. They're trying to stay true to the F-Zero fan base. There is no F-Zero fan base in the grand scheme of things. There's a Captain Falcon fan base. People care about Captain Falcon. There's clout there.
Nintendo announces a big F-Zero game, that like the nerds are gonna freak out, but like the larger audience of Nintendo is gonna be like, "What is this? Why should I care about this?"
Unless you put like all the Captain Falcons, like just like screen all Captain Falcons.
If you just make a game that looks like it's cool, fun, and it has Captain Falcon in it in the way that people have grown to understand what Captain Falcon means, i.e. Smash Brothers, that would do infinitely more than if they were like, hey, revival of the SNES game or whatever, like.
Okay, I got it. Right. It's just Grand Theft Auto.
I literally was about to say this.
But it's there we go. And he's a bounty hunter, and that's the game.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, because we made a couple of videos talking about basically that similar kind of a thing. And like 100% racing, and even in its fullest form, could still be in the game where like you go up to somebody. I think the most recent thing for me was Street Fighter 6, where like there's a world that you walk around in and then you fight people. And the fighting is like fighting, I guess, but otherwise there's just a world you go around in. So similarly, like it's Grand Theft Auto, whatever. And then, but you also can challenge somebody to like a more traditional race, or you can like basically ignore that whole thing and do everything else. And I feel like that would go over super well.
Yep.
I think it's weird
Best of
that
both
they that they compared it to Star Fox, saying that that Nintendo likes Star Fox. I don't think they do either. I think that maybe they like it more than
we just got
F-Zero.
Star Fox 2 like 5 years ago or something like that.
A while ago by now.
Yeah, I know.
I think they compare it just because, like, out of all of the Nintendo franchise, like, that have been in the past, those two are the most dormant.
Yeah.
They're big IPs that have been dormant for a long time. They just kept fucking up Star Fox 2 over and over again. Is the problem. I mean, they kept messing up the Star Fox franchise over and over again. They ran it into the ground a little too much.
They did the thing where, like, Star Fox came out, people love Star Fox, they're like, okay, bet, let's make Star Fox all over again, exactly the same. Star Fox 64, people love that. And then they're like, let's try something different this time with Adventure, and people hated that. And like, okay, let's bring it back a little bit. People hated that. And then they're like, okay, let's do Star Fox 64 again. And then people were like, okay, this is fine, I guess. You know, like, where Star Fox is in a very similar situation to F-Zero, where it's like people don't care about, and by people, I don't mean Star Fox fans, because again, the problem is there's not enough of those. People at large don't care about Star Fox, the IP. They care about Star Fox, the character. They care about him saying hiya and using shine and comboing people across the stage. That's what they care about. They want to play as that, not be stuck in the R-Wing the whole time. So it's like you got to...
I mean...
There was a rumored pitch of a Star Fox game where they looked like the puppets, like from the commercials.
Right.
That would have been really
that's
cool.
right, yeah.
I thought that was a rumored show. Was it a game? That's so interesting.
I thought it was a game, but
I think it was.
They didn't pick it up. Whatever.
There was a Did You Know gaming video about a game. I think both of those things exist. Like I think Miyamoto has talked about wanting to make a show. But yeah, there was a game where they wanted to do the whole thing.
Was that Armada or whatever?
Yes.
Was it that one? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I watched that video.
Yeah.
That's
I feel like Star Fox, especially now, is such an easier game to bring back with the like you have things like like oh my god, why am I blanking? No Man's Sky that basically showed like, hey, you can go off planet and go around space however you want to. It's such an it's not easy to make that, but it's such like an idea that's been done that Nintendo can then take and do their Nintendo thing to it.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth, it's not that different from, I think we've made a video and talked about this kind of thing, but not that different from just Starlink Battle for Atlas, with the exception of don't do toys for life and get out of the ship, you know, but like in terms of,
and don't make it look like a Ubisoft
there's several planets around. Yeah, right, exactly. Like, there's lots of planets around. You just travel between them as you need to or whatever. Introduce the amount of Metroidvania stuff you need to, where like you get new abilities and this ice planet that you couldn't go to before. Now your ship's strong enough. You've got whatever things. You can go to the ice planet now and then like, you know, do things around there. But like, again, just like with the F-Zero thing, have as much of the original stuff in there for the fans of the original stuff, but just don't pigeonhole yourself into only doing that. I think the tricky thing though for these franchises, like there's lots of franchises that are more niche, I guess, in some ways than Star Fox or maybe not F-Zero, but like kind of niche franchises that still are around, but they just like don't cost as much to make. So it's just easier to be like, they have they exactly is the same size audience. You know, say Star Fox, a new one would sell 2-3 million units or something like that, but it costs 5 times as much to make as Pikmin does or something, to where that sells 2-3 million units and great, super good success and stuff.
I don't know if that's what it is with Pikmin specifically. I think Pikmin is Nintendo, Miyamoto, playing favorites.
Yes. 100%.
I think Miyamoto,
I picked a bad example for that because
yeah, I think Miyamoto, like as evidenced by the fact that his name is like almost an anagram for Mario, wanted Pikmin to be Mario again so bad that he's like, nah, this is going to be a big franchise whether you want it to be or not. I don't think he has that same fire for Star Fox anymore. He did at a point, but not anymore. So I think that's what it is. But also, I would say I think Ratchet and Clank could just make Ratchet and Clank, but put more.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, like that's a Star Fox game right there. Easy. Ship it 5 million copies at least.
Make it a platformer.
Just, I mean, like Ratchet and Clank.
There's gotta be ships. There's gotta be you gotta
in Ratchet and Clank.
Stuff.
You play Ratchet and Clank like a Rift in Time and the PlayStation 4 remake. It's like a platformer, but it's also like a shooter. There's like
there
air
are
combat and like
there's some air like ship battles, but like that just means like you take Ratchet and Clank and then you do the ship battles better.
Yeah, exactly.
And boom, you're done.
Right. Because then, like if they're going to do the on foot stuff, they have a good base for how to make that feel good, and they can still apply the same like Star Fox, like Landmaster versus R-Wing versus whatever the underwater one's called. I don't remember that one. And have that equivalent on the ground. You know,
my biggest nightmare is if they let Ubisoft make a Star Fox game, because that's what they were trying to do with Starlink.
Yeah. And
that was miserable.
They should not. They shouldn't do it.
Do that.
Give that to Retro. That's a Retro problem to solve.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Retro.
Or I was thinking Rare, make them do just Jet Force Gemini, but with Star Fox characters.
That would be crazy. They're going to buy Rare back from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Microsoft might be down.
True.
I mean, they're not using it. See, and that was another thing. Banjo is a similar like there's been a lot of stories like that of the developers of a thing being like, I don't think this would do well anymore. And there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, of course Banjo wouldn't do as well because Yooka-Laylee didn't do good. And it's like Yooka-Laylee is the poster child of how, and the first one, because they did a better job the second time around. Yooka-Laylee is the poster child of how to do it wrong. You know, like just being like, people love the N64 game. Let's make an N64 game in 2022. You know, like
it did pretty good in terms of like an indie game.
Yeah, but people hated it at first, and then they had to patch it, and then it had like a No Man's Sky trajectory, but it had less marketing, so people didn't turn around with the first game in the same way. They were like, this is decent now. They just always had the first memory in their mind where it's like, this is an N64 game, but it just looks prettier.
I think I played like the first 2 worlds of Yooka-Laylee. Went, okay, I think I don't know if this is gonna work, guys.
Exactly. So Microsoft is, or the developers are like, yeah, I don't think that they're gonna make a original like Grant Kirkhope and like all the people that used to be at Rare. And some of them are at Playtonic now. Some of them, like Grant Kirkhope, is just independent. They're sitting there and they're being like, I don't think it will work because it would either cost too much, the audience doesn't exist anymore, there's not the right team that could do it because our humor is so specific or whatever. And I'm just like, there's 8 billion people on this planet. You think you're the only ones that could make a game, you know, in this franchise? That's crazy. So I think that they could easily make another Banjo game. It's just down to them caring enough to do it. And I think that they even have the incentive to do it. Because I can count on one hand how many IP Microsoft have that matters as much. Like, they have Halo. They have Forza. They have, well, now they have like the Activision stuff. Well, maybe the Bethesda stuff, you know, like that whole situation. But as far as like their big like first party stuff, like Banjo's up there with all that.
Well, and they haven't even been doing too well with Halo.
Yeah.
With like the Halo show and Halo Infinite being like, okay, cool. Thanks, guys.
Yep. That was the one thing they had. And their whole problem, why they're not like competitive with the other 2 guys, is that people don't care about their brand as much. And they don't really have a reason to. Like, they're just the other guy that's comparable in specs to PlayStation. But PlayStation has God of War. PlayStation has friggin', you know, Horizon Zero Dawn now. And all the franchises that they got. Sackboy.
You mentioned Ratchet and Clank, and with the most recent Ratchet and Clank, they nailed it so well that it just kind of like reopened all the doors for that franchise.
Yeah, and that's all it takes, because like all you need is a franchise that people know about and care about on some level, and then you just make something good based in that world, and you will make money. That's just how it works.
Simple
now.
as that.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is make a good game.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
They got the hard part figured out. Because what's hard now is to make people care about new ideas. They don't have to have a new idea.
Yeah.
They just have to make a good game with the old idea.
Out of the old idea. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so many things too where like you'll hear people be like, "Oh, they haven't made a new this in so long," and people are like, "No, they've been making them. You just haven't heard about them because they've been bad."
Yeah.
Mm.
Ah,
Oh,
That
But then like the one that's successful, I can't bring any to mind that are
was
like
Crash
that. But just
Bandicoot
That was
for
Crash
years.
Bandicoot. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's like, I
yes.
want a new Crash. And it's like, dude, last year you
There's
had
been
one and nobody bought it.
yeah.
Yeah, after it went to the PlayStation 2, I was like, man, I could really go for another Crash. And then like I'll look it up and I'm like, oh crap, they're still making them.
Yep.
People were nostalgic for Crash while it was still coming out.
Which I don't understand. Those games are bad.
I don't
Not here.
understand
Not here.
Banjo-Kazooie. That's what I don't understand. I played the first Banjo. That is rough.
I think that's crazy because I think Banjo is well, I don't disagree because I think all N64 games, with the exception of like 2D platformers and like Mario Kart, did not age well. Banjo is in that boat, but like I think Banjo's better than Mario 64 personally.
Get the fuck out of your own podcast
I
right
think
now.
it's better.
Whoa!
I think it's a better game.
That's crazy.
I think that it just more fully featured. They control more or less similarly. Like they both feel bad to control. Yes, they do.
No,
they both feel bad and
Banjo
gross.
controls are horrible. Part of what makes Mario so like amazing is that it controls so well for an N64 game.
I don't agree.
I was
think it's
playing.
better, but I think that it's like insane how well it controls versus every other N64 game.
I gotta go with Bob on this one because I was playing Banjo the other night because I finished Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, what do I do with my life?
You're like, I'm gonna play
And
Banjo
so
now.
so I hopped on Banjo. I'm like, I'll play a little Banjo before bed, and I'm like attacking in that game, like trying to kill enemies is just so wonky.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
that's fair.
I love the level design, but it's just wonky.
That's more or less what I'm talking about. Like I think the level design is more interesting.
Like really
I think
important mechanics. You have to unlock them, and there's like a cutscene.
people
and
love
it's the
unlocking
ugliest
stuff in
thing
the
I've ever seen.
N64 era.
Bro, unlocks are great.
You unlock like the roll or something. You unlock like really basic stuff.
And shooting the eggs. You gotta unlock
Yeah,
that.
like the shit you need. Like when I first started playing, I was like, "How do I do anything?" And
Yo,
of course,
it's
you gotta
a Zelda
talk to
game.
the mole, and the
It's a
mole's
Zelda
gotta
game.
tell you.
People on the N64 love
Yeah, I
that
love
thing.
Zelda. I love it.
But yeah, I think they can make a good Banjo.
Yeah.
They could.
Steam Deck.
You have to see it.
Let's
Steam Deck.
Let's talk about Steam Deck.
Let's get Bob in more trouble.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm getting in trouble right along with you because I don't have one because I think that it's not great, especially for what it is like marketed as to normal people. Like I'm not talking about people that are already Steam Deck fans that already see beyond that veil of like it's a console PC, you know, like the people just understand like okay, it's just a PC and I got to deal with PC shit. It might be a little bit easier, but like I'm still dealing with PC.
Does anybody else here have it?
Got it.
Yeah, Dan.
Parker doesn't have it, right?
Yeah, no.
Nope.
Okay.
So okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, so I was the same way when the Steam Deck was coming out. I was like, because everybody's saying it's the Switch killer, and I was like, that's so stupid. Like they're for completely different people. And then I got the Steam Deck, and it was very rough when it came out. There was it was kind of a chore to do any little thing on it. And then like a few weeks passed and they updated the hell out of it and it's 1,000 times and it got 1,000 times better like almost immediately. And these days it feels like a proper console. Like you can just download a game and just play it. Especially if it has the little green like check mark, you're playing the game. Then there's no almost never. I mean, if it's got the green check mark, there's never going to be an issue just downloading it and playing it. You might run out of storage.
Yeah.
You might have to download the shaders. That might take 10 minutes. But other than that, there shouldn't be a problem at all.
I mean, and like also, if there's a specific game that you just like, you have to play, like you really want to play it, there is a workaround, and it's not terribly difficult to pull off. I've set up some
terribly
sometimes
difficult
it is
to pull off.
Sometimes it is, but those we just ignore. We just say
just ignore those.
My question is more so like, is it not difficult to pull off, period, or for you? Because, like, I would say both of you
okay, all right,
tinkerers.
fine, okay.
I think both of you are tinkerers, like, differently. I think you find, like, a different type of enjoyment. I think Bob is, like, and this comparison comes up a lot when people are like, you should get a Steam Deck. And I'm like, no, I refuse. I don't have patience for that. And they're like, you have more patience than Bob. And I'm like, yeah, but our patience, like, what we do when we're impatient is different. Like, Bob, he gets impatient and he's angry to the point where he's like, nah, I'm doing this out of spite. Me, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't care enough to do this thing.
Yeah, I that's fair, because I've been getting into modding recently, and like
you got two modders over here, man.
It took me like 6 hours to get all the mods I wanted correctly for Skyrim, and I'm like, yes, I've done it. It's perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, I was on the same page. I thought the Steam Deck was a little overhyped because everybody was calling it Switch killer, and I'm like, that's stupid. I'm gonna keep playing my Switch. It's a lot more convenient. Blah blah blah. The reason I started mainlining the Steam Deck is because a lot of the games that I'm playing are like little indie games, and they always run great on the Steam Deck because they're little indie games. They don't need a lot of power, and they always release first on the Steam Deck.
Oh.
And a lot of times,
probably a little bit cheaper, right?
A lot of times they're a little cheaper, and a lot of times they run better on the Steam Deck. So that's why I started playing the Steam Deck a lot more than I was expecting. And also, I have been enjoying bouncing between playing on my computer and playing on the Steam Deck, because that's the cloud. That's like the perfect cloud save situation. Something I would have liked to have seen on the Switch,
with the Switch between the Switch Lite.
Yes,
right. Yeah.
And they have it, but it like sucks. But with the Steam Deck, I'm playing all of my games between all of these different devices, and it's completely seamless. So that is, I think, the best sell for a Steam Deck. It really depends on what games you want to play, and the games that you want to play that are going to run good on the Steam Deck, you're going to have a great time with, and they'll just play, and there won't be a problem.
It seems to me like that really is the biggest determining factor, because like even I, who play a lot of games, like I mean, I have an Xbox Series S, and I play none games on it, and like more or less end up just playing, like, you know, I don't have the most time in the world, so I mostly end up just playing the first party Nintendo games that, you know, are going on at the time, or like lots of indies and stuff. But at that point, if like I'm not going to buy a whole other system just for indies anyway, then I think there's probably just like, I mean, like you said, it's not the Switch killer just because of target audience kind of thing, more so than anything else. But I mean, again, like I've played, my friend Mitch came over and showed me his, and I was like, that's cool. And, you know, it's not for me specifically, but like neat and whatnot.
It's a neat device to have. And then if you get a dock that you can carry around with you, then like that's just a portable computer. Like my friends and I were playing multiplayer games just like on my TV through the Steam Deck, instead of having to like go into my office, set up my TV to like somehow connect to my computer and get that all set up. So like
for AJ specifically, you don't have a PC.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. So people are always like asking me to play like different PC games and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, I don't care enough to build a PC for that. And I don't, and I like super don't care enough, because I don't even want to be in that window, like open, like being in Windows annoys my life. Like, because there's always some type of shit that's not working right. And I
agree.
I hate that. So my solution was going to be, because people are like, oh, you gotta get on like GTA RP or Valorant or like name whatever PC.
Valorant,
video.
You're not getting on that unless you have a actual PC.
Yeah, I know.
Even like the Ioneos and the Asus Ally, like that shit, they might flag you for cheating because of the way that those consoles work, there's like weird like boot issues. So certain games, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, so that's the whole reason why I was like, well, nope, no reason for me to get this, because it would have been the only reason why I would have used it. It would have been like a ancillary thing. It would have been like, well, I don't mind playing games with people. I would play Valorant or whatever, but I'm not building a PC to play that. Because it wouldn't be the main thing that I'm going to do, right? Where before I bought this computer, right? That the whole thing was like, people are like, yo, why don't you like build a PC and then like just get a laptop or whatever. And I'm like, okay, let me look into that. It's just not worth it, because I would have ended up spending more money on the PC that I would have just been using just to play PC games occasionally, and maybe just to stream on it. Where I could have been like, I'm gonna spend a little bit more money than I would have spent on my main computer and have a better computer for work and also for streaming and doing, you know, whatever other stuff, and just live my normal life. You know, it's not like I yearn to play PC games on the regular. So it's like, I'm not gonna bend over backwards to build a PC that I'm only going to use sometimes.
Get yourself an Intel NUC. You ever see those things? They're like this big. They look like a little. It looks like a little book. It's like thin. And it looks like something you can put in your back pocket, and they're cheap and very powerful. Yes,
it's like a Mac Mini kind of thing.
On one.
Oh, there you go.
It's a little tiny guy.
Look at this guy. It's just a tiny little guy.
He looks like he should be in Star Wars and have a name.
At one of the conventions, Elgato had a PC, a big normal sized PC that had one of these PCs inside of it. You know how people do like a dual streaming setup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
This was the streaming computer.
That's crazy.
Fun.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that.
How much are they?
I don't.
Like $1,000.
That's not that bad.
No, but they have there's varying prices. I see one that's $300.
Yeah, right. Like,
you'll have to check some specs out.
Yeah.
Oh, components needed. I don't know what that means.
See this
probably that it needs components.
This is where it all falls apart. Like, I find out that it's a headache to use. You know, this is the whole thing where it's like, just emulate it on the Vita. Just use a Vita.
No, you don't just do something like that.
Exactly. That's
like you don't have a PC, so it would make sense for you to get something like an Asus Ally or something like that. But you're gonna get it, and you're gonna have a major headache trying to get things to work on.
Yeah, which is why I don't have a PC.
I think the best scenario for you is if there's a game that's on Steam that you want to play, or a handful of games on Steam that you want to play, then you get a Steam Deck. Otherwise, you're good.
Yeah. So they're not getting my money. But what's the whole thing with this touchpad situation? I know nothing. Do you want a touchpad on the Nintendo Switch too?
No, I'm in trouble because in my last video I said that the touchpad on the Steam Deck is useless. Because it mostly is. I mean, especially when it first came out, it was just a shitty touchpad. It was only really like useful in the Linux desktop, and it kind of sucked there too. So like, what was even the point of it? And people keep saying like, oh, it's great for RTS games. Why? Why are you even playing that on there? Like it's hard for me to separate, because in my head, I'm playing games on a controller most of the time. And if I'm going to play with a mouse, it's Valorant, and I'm not using a fucking touchpad for that. I need a mouse, you know, there's no in between. So
I can't imagine using it.
Right? Yeah. You have the Steam Deck and you can't imagine using the touchpad.
I would never want to use a trackpad for gaming ever. Yeah. And so like, I just don't know when,
well, like, you just gotta get used to it, and it's like, why am I gonna get used to it? It doesn't make. Why would I want to?
I saw something in the replies to the thing that you retweeted. The like you knew here. Somebody was like, that's the thing about console gamers or whatever. They get so used to like controllers and stuff like that they would never even give a thing like the touchpads a chance. And then they said gyro aiming. I was like, hold on, they're spitting. They're spitting, but I can't speak on the gyro. I never used the touchpad, so I don't know if I fully agree with them. But
I think Bob, I think you are going to get used to it because Switch 2 is going to have one, and the next Mario game is going to only be using the touchpad.
Exclusively.
One of the replies was, "We need a touchpad in the Joy-Con." I was like, "What the? That doesn't make any sense."
There's no room.
Also, AJ, I was showing you the goddamn LBX. You don't think I can get used to something else if I think it's interesting?
No, I'm
Jesus
not saying
Christ, man! It's got a billion buttons on it, dude.
I didn't say I didn't think that. But also,
I was
you're
in the video. I was using the touchpad and I was showing how it just like doesn't scroll right, like in the menu, and apparently. The touchpad in the menu works as a D-pad, which means you have to touch up, you have to touch down, you have to touch left, you can't scroll. It's a touchpad.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Doesn't make any sense. How is that better than any other option when I have a D-pad and I have two thumbsticks?
Because it's a PC thing, Bob. PC things are inherently better. You haven't been on the internet?
PC guy has ever said in the history of PC guys, none of them have ever said, yo, I like the trackpad. I'm a trackpad gamer.
If you go to a PC guy and you're like, yo, what would you rather use? A Nintendo Switch controller or a trackpad? They're picking a trackpad every single time.
It's disgusting, honestly.
Imagine going to a Quake tournament with like an Apple like trackpad.
Yeah.
No, they just use the little red button in the middle of the laptop, the little
the little rubber
nub.
That's what the Steam Deck needs. That would save so much space.
Like 50 of those. I don't know what you use them all
that's
for,
what they're going to do on the Switch too. They're not going to use the touchpad. That's like they don't want to use other people's technology. They're going to put the C-stick nub back on there so we can get Kid Icarus Uprising.
They don't got enough room anymore. We need the 3DS nub back. Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm. All right.
That's my Steam Deck controversy.
Yeah.
That is good. I like it. Let's unless there's any like burning games we're playing stuff, I feel like we just move into Q&A. I'm
playing a video game. I'm playing.
Yeah, go for it.
Friggin' Super Smash Brothers, man.
Hey,
it's a good time.
No way.
Mega Man.
Glad you never change.
Mega Man. I'm using Mega Man.
I played Castlevania an hour ago.
Castlevania. Which Castlevania?
Circle of the Moon.
I played.
I don't know. I don't know why either.
I'm deep in Diablo 4 now.
Nice. Oh, nerd.
Yeah, the good old nerd shit, just straight to the veins, baby. It's dark. It's real dark.
Isn't it? The game is
story or the game, like visually.
It's Devil 4.
Everything.
Like physically.
I know we didn't want to get into this, but now we're getting into this. So
yeah, let's do it.
All the other Diablos have had sort of like this kind of like it felt more fantasy than it did like really dark and gritty, and so it's like let's go fight evil and all this sort of stuff. And then this one's like there's a dude that is so into pain that he's like skinned, tied up to change as like the devil's like attacking him. And I'm just like, this is dark. Nothing good happens here.
The game is called Devil 4, Dan.
I know, but it's just not the same, and I don't know how to explain it. It's like they actually listened to what the title of the game was finally.
They're like, you know what? Fans of the devil gonna love this game way more.
So anyway,
would you really expect Devil 3 to do that? Devil's Third, as it were, to do that? Hey, I know nothing about that game, just that it's bad. That's literally it.
Now there's going to be comments being like, Devil's Third is the best Wii U game. They need to port that.
That's my favorite game. I found my wife in Devil's Third.
Exactly. But yeah, that's all I'm playing. I mean, I played Tears of the Kingdom a little bit, but just a little bit right now. So Q&A.
Q&A, let's do it. All right. Lucha Boy said, hello. With fast food chains always trying different gimmicks to get you in the door, what toy or food from a Nintendo franchise would entice you to go to a fast food joint? Thank you. P.S. AJ, for this special episode, I was anonymous most of the time. I'll gift subs under my own name from now on. So what toy or food from a Nintendo franchise would entice you to
So I want to give context for this. So there's like, and I don't know if this also is like the case for everybody else, but usually when I'm streaming, there's somebody anonymous, Lucia Boy, I guess, that will give subs. And the one time that they gifted subs, I was playing Smash against Lee or something, and I like stopped to read the gift sub, and I died. And I was like, "You made me die, anonymous." And then he went and made an account that was like, "Anonymous is sorry, AJ." And then it was like, okay, now I need to know who this is. So he was like, "I'll tell you on 250." So there we go.
Oh,
there it is. I thought it was Trev because we had theories because it definitely seemed like it was the same person. There was like continuity there, but it was Lucia Boy. Good to know. But yeah, you were answering the question, Parker.
To the question, I think for me, I'd say almost any Nintendo something or other that's not Mario or Pokemon, just because those ones feel like they happen so much. It's like, who cares? But like if they did just about it, I mean, like, you know, Zelda or
F-Zero,
Star Fox or whatever, then like I'd be like, yeah, I might check that out just for fun, you know.
Hey, Wendy's has the square patties. Wonder if they just did triangle patties once.
Do they still have? Do they still have square patties? I didn't know they still.
Of course,
I think so.
They don't cut corners.
Thing.
Is that really? Is that like their slogan? Is that why?
It was. I can't confirm or deny. I have no clue.
I'm here for you. Yes, let's that. They're
they're
really just doing Box Boy and Box Girl stuff already, so that's it.
The only thing that would make me run to McDonald's right now is the Tetris chicken nugget.
What?
Ooh. No,
the
that's
console.
good.
Like they made the console in China. It was a Chinese McDonald's toy. It was like a month ago. It was a chicken nugget that you could play Tetris on.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Really?
Like,
remember they did that
for $13.
They did stuff like that with Sonic. They had little Sonic Tiger Electronics things. Anything like that.
Yeah.
That's Nintendo themed. I would run to McDonald's.
Yeah, that's fun.
I think.
What about the Grimace Game Boy game? Did you play that?
If they gave out cartridges, I would run to McDonald's. But yes, I did. I did play that. I put that on my Game Boy like immediately.
I'm just wondering when Olive Garden will give us Mario spaghetti. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I don't know if they're allowed to do that. They're tied to Sonic now. Then the Olive Garden.
Olive Garden?
In the Sonic movie.
Oh yeah. You're right.
They can't do that.
That's messed up. They really threw away their relationship with Mario just for that.
Yeah.
Just for that gag.
Fazoli's it is, you know.
How come Sonic didn't do a Sonic thing? Sega needs to buy that chain.
They did. They did a collab at least once.
They need to do it more.
If from what I've heard is right, like the whole Olive Garden bit like came in at the very last minute.
It showed.
So funny.
Yeah.
I don't know why people act like the Sonic movies are that good. They're like fine.
Fun.
I still haven't watched the second
one. It's because video game movies have been so bad for so long, and everyone was expecting this to be horrible, especially after the first design of Sonic, and it was a lot better than bad.
Yeah, true.
It was basically your perfect middle of the road. This is a movie. I had some fun.
Yep. That's fair.
Yep.
And I like Sonic, so I liked it. That's
why I don't really like it, because
sure.
it doesn't feel like they cared about Sonic at all. Like this, like
there was a lot of.
I think the second movie did a better job.
Them. I've never seen the second movie, to be honest.
I think the second movie did a better job at using Sonic things to make the plot. But in the first movie, they like made up MacGuffins, and it's like, yo, there's direct analogs to this thing that already exists in the Sonic world.
I was surprised about that there were Inquinias in the first like 30 seconds of the movie, and then isn't his dad an owl in the first movie?
It is his
like that owl guy from
his
the
adopted mom.
OVA.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And then
There's a lot of like weird lore shit that they pulled from, and I was like, oh, I'm surprised they did that.
It's, I mean, the thing is like, Sonic was just so okay, and then the second one was just built upon what was there, and where am I going with this?
Who knows?
Oh God,
I agree. Whatever you're gonna say.
Whatever you were about to say, I'm down.
I think you were gonna say, why do they call it oven when you oven the hot food of out hot eat the food?
True.
You know?
all I know is that
you, Bob, for what it's worth.
watching Sonic with my friend and co-host Bridget is a delight because she loves Sonic so much that by the end of the movie she's crying on the floor, but just how happy she is about it.
That's good. I'm happy.
What
for
a time.
her.
Yeah, it's good for Bridget, and that's exciting news.
Yeah. Speaking of Smash characters, Mega Man asked, "Who was your favorite directly to you guest?" I'll just take those honors now. Thanks, team. It was all of them. Every single one.
I mean, we're right
but
here.
in all seriousness,
But answer it.
See, the thing is,
the real question.
the thing is, like, I would have Bob on a lot more, but ever since that meme became a thing, where the guy that me and Bob both know, where it's like, come on my podcast, you know that meme.
Oh yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
You can say it. We're not hiding it.
I don't want to talk about this dude. I was like, nope, I'm making it a point to not. And plus, I just know there's a lot of people that do that, like with Bob specifically, that I just don't want to make it about that. Like, for me, having people on the podcast has always been an extension of like, just want to hang out. You know, I don't really care about the cloud side of it. So to make it easier to not even have to deal with that, I just was like, all right, nope. And Dan, it's super easy to have on because it's easy to make bits and a meme and stuff like that. Him being on in the first place is usually a bit and a meme because it's like, all right, it's the special episodes, it's the 50s, so we gotta have Dan.
If it's a 50, I'm there.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
50.
that's why they're on the last episode, because I think that they're both super consistent, easy guests to have, and we could just
We did it, Bob. We're the best.
Make a show out of
Easy guys.
easy in a good way, like easy in the sense that like we
Yeah,
don't
you
have
already
to like
said it. Yeah.
how I
it's fine.
said I don't think how I said it was bad, but just in the sense that like coming into this, if we had like a different guest to make this show feel good and natural, we would have to do a lot more work in like planning it.
I get it.
But for you guys, it's like we added topics that we didn't talk about before. They weren't on the run of show, and it just works, you know? So I think that that's good. Secondarily, I think the Thrill House episode was fun. I think Kevin episode is cool. What are other good
Having
strong
Mega
episodes?
Man, having Mark on.
Yep.
All sorts of people.
Yeah.
It's good times.
I wish we could have had Xeon on more too.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is now that we're in theory doing, things whenever they happen, we probably can,
It'd be
we'll
easier
have more
to have
flexibility
guests since,
and just
yeah.
see if we can just be like, hey, you want to join and talk about this thing?
Right.
So
Yeah.
should be fun. Mega Man's actual question also was, in all seriousness, what's the most strangest combination of food you've ever eaten together that surprised you? I guess by being good. No.
I think I need to ponder on this.
I think I've said this one on here before, because I feel like we might have gotten this question before, but it still was surprising to me. I had a hot dog and put horseradish on it and put peanut butter on it, and it should have been terrible by all accounts, but it turned out really, really good.
Whoa.
Yep. Now
That's
you know.
fucked up. It's fucked up, dude.
What can I say?
Man, I can't think of
I got
anything.
one. I got one. There's this restaurant in Manhattan called No. It's a Japanese restaurant. And they have a sushi roll that's like, a special roll with like tuna and salmon on it. And then they put Parmesan cheese on top. And you know what? Pretty goddamn good.
That is
surprisingly. Oh, and pesto. It's Parmesan and pesto on
Parmesan
top
and pesto?
Yes, on top of a tuna salmon roll thing. And it is actually surprisingly good.
That sounds...
No one else I was with thought it was any good. But
I want to try for what it's worth. Yeah.
I don't think that... Go for it, Dan.
I can't think of anything like really weird. I do know like you know how every person has like that weird food that everyone judges them for. My specific one was we grew up with it was Chex, and then my grandma would melt like a tablespoon or two of butter and Worcestershire sauce and just dump it all over it.
Man, what the fuck?
and that is why
I picked butter, and I was like, "That's kind of weird, but not crazy." And then I
was saying like Muddy Buddies or something, and then
I'm like, man, all right. That's
is it kind of like Chex Mix, like the salty Chex Mix?
That's the idea, right? Is you're just making Chex Mix, but for your breakfast.
How do you discover
for
this?
Breakfast?
Honestly, I have no idea.
That's a Great Depression food. That's why you know about that.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's the Simpsons episode where the only thing he has left is like cloves in the house or whatever, and he's trying to get overweight to whatever, that episode.
Yeah. So basically, this is just a long way for me to say I take cholesterol pills now, and I don't know why.
Fair enough.
Couldn't imagine.
I can't think of a combination thing, but I was surprised. I went to Hawaii when I was like 10, and I had an alligator, and that was good, which was weird. I don't know why specifically
it's like
in Hawaii.
tough chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had like alligator nuggets when I went through Louisiana once.
Yeah.
I had shark once. My mom grew up in Australia, and so we went there when I was like 5 for a little bit, and I was very proud to be able to come back and say that I bit a shark.
Oh my god. So, you're already making dad jokes even then.
Yeah,
even then.
I think we're going to take a pause because Dan has to go, and I've got to go put my daughter to bed, and so we're going to do those things.
All right, Dan, do your plug.
Okay, you could, at that Cybert guy on Twitter, on Thread, Instagram, on whatever Thread, Instagram, that Cybert channel on YouTube. Go watch Game Theory and Film Theory this week because I voiced it. Okay, bye.
Nice. Later, Dan.
Right. We'll be right back.
Okay, bye guys. Good to talk to you.
Cool.
Hey, we're back.
Hey.
Q&A.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello. Cool. All right, next question. So M. Skelton asked, for the final weekly episode, I must ask the question, would you rather have unlimited bacon and no games, or unlimited games but no bacon? I assume is what it's meant to be. It says unlimited games but no games.
No. He wrote it exactly how it's supposed to be read. Read it again.
Unlimited bacon but no games, or unlimited games but no games. Everyone knows the answer very clearly. Cut question with zero tomfoolery.
You might have to hear it again, AJ. I don't know.
The second one.
You might need it one more time.
I don't need unlimited bacon. I don't even like having that much bacon normally.
Are you okay with no
unlimited games, no games? I don't get games either way. I don't. So doesn't matter what I pick. So I get. Wait, can I sell the bacon?
I was about to say, could you trade it in for games?
You have to pivot
to a bacon channel.
A bacon guy, yeah. You're but if I have,
if it's unlimited games but no games, does that mean I can't talk about games? Does that mean I can't play?
I don't know what you don't understand.
Is the no games also universal? Or I don't know either. Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's unlimited games, but no games.
No games for me. No games for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean are we changing the definition of games per iteration of it being said? Like, is it no video games but like you're all business? You know what I mean? Like, or
see everything you just said? Yes.
Then the first one. I mean the second one. I don't need bacon unless I can sell it. If I can sell the unlimited bacon, I'm taking that one.
I gotta be honest, I don't really love bacon either. Like, I'll have it if it's there, if it's in the sandwich, I'm fine. But like, it doesn't. I don't think it's like making things that much better. You know?
Yeah. When I was younger, I hated bacon because one time
when I was younger, I wanted bacon on everything.
I hated
it
because I had like a sandwich and it had bacon on it, and I don't know what was up with that sandwich, but it was not good, and I threw it up, and then I was like, I'm never eating bacon again. And then I got older, and I was like, bacon's fine. I don't need it, but it's fine, you know. So now it's like
one time. I used to have a little special morning where I would have like a bacon, egg, and cheese in Penn Station when I was on my way to work. And one time I got a bacon, egg, and cheese, and the bacon was so goddamn hard it felt like plastic in the sandwich. So then I just stopped getting bacon, egg, and cheese, and I either get sausage or I just don't have bacon at all.
That's the thing. I typically will get a sausage, egg, and cheese because on the flip side, you can get bacon where it's just like floppy, super thin, whatever, and that's not fun either. So like, it's too much of a risk. I feel like a lot of times, if it's bacon on like a burger or something, I am cheap, so I'm just not going to bother. Is what it is. But also like, it's sure, probably it'll be a fine kind of bacon, but like what people do for breakfast bacon is really hit or miss anyway. In terms of like fast food sandwiches, kind of something or other. So
if it's there, I'm fine, but I don't need it.
Yeah. For me, it depends.
So my answer though is unlimited bacon because at least I get something out of it.
Yep. We are starting up a little restaurant, the three of us.
But you get something out of it. But for the other one, you get unlimited games.
You know what? Then I don't know. Then I don't know what I would do because the question doesn't make any fucking sense.
So there it is. Next question. Fish the Collector asked, when will Nintendo reveal their new multiplayer and online system? And what are your expectations for it? Also, I will be right back. Talk, and I will return.
I don't think they're gonna release
something new.
I think it'll be a very, very slow rollout, like kind of like what they've been doing.
I think it's going to just be like, it's Switch Online again. And it may or not be better, but I think that what better means in reality versus what people think it should mean are different things.
I think the next console will have newer features to Switch Online, and it will change things up. But for the most part, like the way you add other players to like a party or something, that'll be like a game by game basis and slowly changed over time.
Exactly. Which is mostly what I mean, because I think people still and will never not think of Switch Online, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network as like this weird ISP where good online is universal. All you got to do is be on this service and everything's figured out for you, and not a developer side thing, which is even true for that, where we look at something like invites and that sort of stuff. Like, yes, they are universal on those other platforms, but they're universal on those other platforms because it's mandated that they use that feature. It's not a thing that just automatically happens. The developer still has to put that in their game. I
think that they're universally better on the other platforms, and on Nintendo it's because they're mandated. The developers are mandated to include
the
party systems and stuff.
Yes, like they can't have their own version of that on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network in terms of like inviting people and stuff like that. They have to code in the ability to invite people through PlayStation Network and Xbox Live. Versus,
I mean, they have it in the games if it's cross-gen or cross-platform.
Right. But on Switch, the developers have the option to put in invites. Like in Smash Brothers, right? You can't invite people on Smash Brothers. But Switch Online itself supports that feature. There just isn't that many games that use it. Like, even though they could, they just don't implement it. Because it's not required.
I've never heard that it's mandated on other platforms. I just thought it was good on the other platforms, so it was just easier for developers to use what's already there and already good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's required that you have to use their version of the thing versus just being like, oh, I'm just going to click onto the thing. And the same way that,
well,
like,
regardless, on the Switch, it's so bad that no developer wants to use it except for Nintendo developers.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it seems like overall, it's also just kind of as far as it being like good across the board or bad across the board on the Nintendo side is like it's similar to, you know, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet versus Tears of the Kingdom kind of thing, where like one of those looks way better than the other. They're on the same hardware, and it's just a case by case basis kind of thing. So like you can make it good or you can not, but like that's just going to be up to development teams and, you know, the game and stuff.
Yep.
I think the second half of that, which you just maybe talked about for the second that I stepped away, is as far as not the like network connectivity side, but the online system as far as Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, that's what we like started with.
Okay, yeah. So like that's just
not what,
carrying
like,
over.
The functionality and the features and stuff like that is what Nintendo Switch Online actually means. It's like the features, like how online works is like
having games and stuff, and I mean like like
your cloud saves or like,
that
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it will be fine.
Is neat because that also means like, you know, there's so, I mean, the pace at which N64 games are coming out is like, we're going to be here for a long, long time. Yep. But if they are continuing that and we assume that they're going to keep adding stuff to it, then like eventually they'll have to get to some newer consoles and stuff down the road, probably. And that's a nice little thing.
You think they're going to? We're going to.
Is that what you think they're asking? They're asking the next.
I feel like that's
Nintendo
like
Switch
all kind of part of the same
shit
thing, right?
Because the next one is GameCube, and I don't think that's happening for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, not for a long time.
They might do GameCube because they were talking about doing GameCube last gen. I remember somebody asked
here's what I think.
Reggie about
we're getting a lot of like GameCube remasters and ports kind of things right now. Yeah, exactly. I think they're trying to like clear out the backlog of like, let's make as much money off it as we can. And then like Link's Awakening is on Nintendo Switch Online. We got a Link's Awakening remake, you know, so it's like in theory, people can just play it for free, but like, you know, you want the better one probably. Right. So probably they're going to get as many GameCube games as they can just monetized, and then at that point N64 dries up, and you know, in a couple months, because there's not that many, I'm just kidding, so N64 dries up, Game Boy Advance kind of dries up, and then GameCube shows up in like, I don't know, 4 years or something, but eventually probably
we shall see.
Mike Mick, I always get it backwards. Mike Mick, I'm pretty sure, said, what's coming back first, Earthbound or F-Zero?
Earthbound, for sure.
I'd say F-Zero.
Coming back in what way?
That's also true.
I think we'll get a Mother 3 before we get a new...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
F-Zero.
I think we're going to get some sort of release from Earthbound before we get some sort of release from F-Zero.
Well, but what's the thing? So not including Switch Online stuff, right? Just like,
I think even
new thing that you can pay. Because at that point we've got both of those.
We don't have Mother 3 yet.
So like,
and we had the Game Boy Advance on Switch Online.
I could see F-Zero GX. Is that the GameCube one? Like I could see that being re-released in some capacity before like a Mother 3. But that would be not nearly as exciting as Mother 3.
Also
like Mother 3, I think is the same level as having a full-on release from F-Zero.
I think Earthbound has like, there's fewer games to be able to do something with. So I mean, really, it's just like it's Mother 3. Like, and if the complications around Mother 3 exist the way that people say that they do or whatever, you know, behind the scenes, then you know, that's something to be figured out one way or another. Whereas F-Zero is like, you know, they could put out F-Zero Maximum Velocity or whatever, the Game Boy Advance one on the Game Boy Advance. Or again, I think in terms of getting the backlog of GameCube stuff out, I feel like a remaster of F-Zero GX is pretty easy one to just do at some point, kind of get the name back out there. Which, again, going back to our earlier conversation, is that beneficial?
Exactly. I don't know. That's why I think that, like, for me personally, I don't really care about what sounds easier or not, because that doesn't seem like that is actually what stops Nintendo from doing things. It's usually like, how much will people buy this thing and or care? And I think way less people will buy and or care about F-Zero than Mother 3.
You say that, but then also, what's the came out 2021, I think. The game by Mages. Why am I not remembering what it's called? Whatever. It's
Untitled Goose Game.
Thank you so much. That's the one. I'll remember what it's called in a little bit. But it's a visual novel, like a Nintendo first-party visual novel.
The
that I'm forgetting the name
detective thing or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like that's one. Like that feels even more niche than F-Zero. Obviously, it's also
but I don't think it was hard.
But
yeah, but that's
what I was saying too. Is you were saying that like easy isn't the main thing. Yeah.
I'm saying more so easy's not the main thing in the sense that they will prioritize doing something that they actively have not wanted to do versus another thing that they haven't done because it's hard to do and they didn't want to do it, Like if they could find a way to do both of these things, they would prioritize doing Mother over doing F-Zero because F-Zero wouldn't be as worth as much to them.
Yeah, they care a lot more about their image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last caveat I'd give, because I mean, generally I agree. The only caveat I'd give is it feels like there's more potential momentum, somewhat pun intended, from F-Zero than it just in that like they could make, if they wanted to, they could make another F-Zero game and they could make a new Mother game, but there's like all this stuff with the toy and blah, 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 whatever. Like it seems like that's less... it's harder for it to build towards something than F-Zero. They could decide to make a new game and build it towards something if they wanted to. Whereas Mother just feels like it's lower down on that list of like working towards something else.
Mother feels almost like a Super Mario RPG situation where we've heard for so long that it's impossible and we'll never get that because the rights dealer and that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we're not on the inside. We don't know how hard or easy those things actually end up being.
Yeah.
We just know how we've heard that it's like impossible. And I think with enough money or attention, you can get anything done. Look at Smash Ultimate, people said it was impossible to get Sora. People said it was impossible to get Minecraft Steve. All these characters that got DLC and me and Bob made that video it'd be cool if these characters came in. Mostly all of them that I said that people were like, they would never do that. They did. So I think if they want to do it, they can do it.
Yeah,
it's just
for sure.
a question of if they want to, I think, personally.
Good thoughts. Let asks, firstly, thanks for all the podcasts. They've been fun to catch every weekend.
Thanks for listening.
You're welcome or something. Yeah.
What?
I don't know. Second, what do you most enjoy about working together?
Parker is, again, similar situation, easy to work with, but also it's like I work better when I'm working with somebody else because it keeps me motivated to be see what Parker made that the last video. I'm like, this video is really cool. I like working on this thing. I want to make something cool like that, and it snowballs in that way. Where it's like, man, I got to make something as cool as that, and then that brings better ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I get in my head a lot about a lot of things. And so it's nice to work with people that like AJ that are more down to earth about stuff to where he could just be like, don't worry about that. That's fine. But also I feel like our creativity things are in similar kinds of directions. And so it's fun to kind of piggyback off each other in that regard.
Yeah. I think that we agree on all the right stuff, but are different in a way that works, especially for something like the podcast, right? Not to shade him necessarily, but Logan, right? Where things would get brought up on the podcast and we'll be talking about something. I'm like, yeah, this thing. And then Logan will be like, yep. I'm like, all right, so next thing. But you'll be like, yeah, and this. Or I don't know about that, but what about this? So conversation naturally moves. Yes,
improv,
exactly. And plus, I think that we with our interests, just naturally we serve a wider audience and then I would by myself, right? Because I'm into usually games that I'm super into are more multiplayer focused, competitive, that sort of stuff, and you're on the other end of that. So it's easy to be like, okay, this game's coming out that I don't really care about, but I know our audience probably does, so I can give my 2 cents on it and talk about what I do think about it, but you can give a much more like involved, in tune with how they feel perspective on whatever that thing is, and a similar style to how I would do it if I did care, you know? So like balance each other out in that way too.
Yep. It's been very fun. Yeah, I've just realized about myself in general that like as far as working together with people, like I don't get things done if I'm just working by myself, because I just kind of who cares at the end of the day. You know, it's like it's fun to make things that other people see, but I don't have like enough ego, not in the like bad sense, but just like ego id kind of whatever stuff. Like I halfway through the thing, I'm like, but I could just keep the thought to myself. Who cares that much? But it's more fun to just be like, you know, making it for AJ by all intents and purposes, and then, you know, by proxy also for other people. So
yeah, it's like the whole Vlog Brothers things, like how they started, and like Bob and Will, like you were making your videos for Will basically.
So. Yeah, I was. I pretended like I was talking to him. But yeah, no, there does take a lot of ego for you to be able to put something out there on the internet. You have, or a little bit of narcissism to be like, everybody should have to hear this, right. You know? So like, it definitely helps to pretend like you're talking to one person instead of a whole group,
especially towards the beginning. I think like at this point,
that's a good thought.
I think at this point I could do it by myself if I had to, because there are people that want it actively. So it's not like this thing that I'm assuming where it's like, people care about what I have to say. I can I can put names and faces to people that do at this point. But starting it was easier to be like, I can make this for Logan, and later I can make this for Parker, and then like it's this back and forth thing, you know.
The thing that makes it, the thing that keeps the narcissism in check is that you know that there's people who don't want to hear what you have to say.
Yep.
You know that exists too.
Yep. Exactly.
And that is so much louder. Like, yeah, not this last video that I made, but the one before it. Like when we went through all the comments, or not through all the, but when we responded to some comments on the Patreon podcast, in my mind, it was like 50-50. People agreed with it. And like, we're like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And the split was definitely like 95 to 5.
I remember you talking
like
to me about. See, I think
it just was
I don't know if like in this regard it's necessarily narcissism, but that isn't the case for me. Like especially for stuff that you do. Like, because you'll come to me and you'll be like, man, people really don't like this thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like 0.3% dislikes or something like that.
That's
you know,
the thing is that the one that says something will stick with you, right? And it feels like it's like blown out of proportion. So I just don't look anymore.
It's especially like once there's enough comments first that agree and are like, oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, I never thought about it though, and it does totally whatever. Then at that point, I'm like, oh. Yeah, I am kind of right about this. And then somebody knocking it down is like, ugh.
I think that's just as dangerous, though. Having a lot of people agreeing with you is also not necessarily a good thing, because you don't know why they're agreeing with you. Maybe you are legitimately saying something that's agreeable, but there's also the possibility they're just doing that because they just like you. You know, so you don't know if you're getting real good feedback. So that's another reason to just not look. Just say what you want to say and then close your eyes.
That also is something for me that's like frustrating. I don't like that side of it when people are just like, yeah, this is great. Because like I'll like reach out for feedback from like viewers or something. I'm like, yo, what do you think of this? Or I'm thinking about changing this, and I'm like, yeah, perfect. I'm like, it can't be perfect. Like there has to be something wrong with it.
It's not constructive.
Yeah, like I need to like even if it's just like, I think that color looks bad. I think you should try this one. That's why like when I do want to make a change like that, I usually reach out to Bob, because I can expect him to be like, I think this part of it's bad. Fix that. This is good, but this part's bad. So change that. I'm like, okay, good. I can work with that.
Well, if you're asking for feedback, you gotta something needs to be given. You know?
Exactly.
Because even if it's a positive, like I like this for this reason,
right? Because then that helps me understand, like either if I need to change something, if I'm going in the right day. Because even if it's a positive thing, and you're like, I like this for this reason, and it wasn't what I was going for, then it could be like, okay, well, I got to change this because he got a different impression than what I was trying to give. You know.
I remember I was in college and we were doing like a roundtable critique of everybody's work. Everybody made like posters. I don't remember what it was, but this one kid was so light years better than everybody else's stuff. It was just so good. And we're going around the room critiquing everybody's stuff, and we got to his, and everyone was like, "This is amazing. There's nothing we could change." And then we went around, and everybody's like, "No, it's incredible." And then the teacher, on the fifth person, the teacher was like, "Guys, this isn't helpful at all. You guys got to say something bad about his stuff."
Yeah, even if it's not like an execution thing, it could just be you personally, or like, I think that this would have been better if you made it green. You know,
it ended up being stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was listening to somebody, I forgot who, but I was listening to somebody recently, and they said that when somebody has a critique, it was about writing. When somebody has a critique about like your story, if it was about like, I don't know, writing like screenplays or something. If somebody has a critique, they're right, but then they come out with their own solution. They're not right about the solution.
Yeah.
So they're right that there's a problem. They're never right about what the solution is. So the second they start giving you a solution, just ignore them. Yeah. That's what he was saying about screenplays. And there's some truth to that for other things.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with that. Because I think there's a lot of times when people will see the end result of something, like an edit or whatever, right? And like, say like a color's off, or like some footage is messed up in some way. And they're like, this is broken. And I'm like, yeah, trust me, I know. I spent 20 hours editing it, you know? Like, but, you know, like certain things can be fixed in the way that you think they can as easily as they can. So yeah, like that's definitely true.
So you put a lot of time into something, eventually things are going to break. Eventually things, you know, it's never going to be perfect because you're always trying to make it better. You're going to have so you're going to have to take some lumps.
Yep. That's the truth.
Good thoughts. All right, next question. RP asked, what is the best any Zelda game ever made besides Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and explain why it's Ocarina of Time. LOL. Also, thank you, AJ, for
Same.
I hate RP.
It's not Ocarina of Time, I can tell you that. I think that it is probably Link Between Worlds.
I was going to say that. My favorite is A Link to the Past, but I haven't played Link Between Worlds, and I'd like to. So
I think A Link Between Worlds is just more in line with what makes Breath of the Wild good, where it gives you less arbitrary walls that are just like, we don't know how to like present conflict outside of just sequencing things, so sequence, you know. And A Link Between Worlds, you have the whole thing where it's like you can go to the rabbit man that looks like Nabbit but isn't Nabbit, and be like, yo, I want to go to the place that needs the hammer, give me the hammer, here's 40 rupees. And then you go to the place and you could do whatever you want in whatever order you want, and it just makes sense in that regard. Outside of that, it's pretty much Link to the Past with the like going in the wall gimmick, which is cool too, but like it's just Link to the Past but better with a mechanic that you can take or leave depending on if you care about the gimmick or not. So I think that one. What do you think, Parker?
Hard to say. I've played various different Zelda games at various points in my life, and so at those points, like when I played Twilight Princess, I had a great time playing Twilight Princess. I wouldn't have as great a time playing Twilight Princess now. So like subjectively hard. I mean, and similarly for Ocarina of Time, and I went back and played like some of that when it came on Nintendo Switch Online and stuff like that. So I'd say probably, I'll just say Link's Awakening just for the fun of it, because that was like probably, I think, my first Zelda game. I think I played
the Game Boy one still, or the.
I mean, probably the Switch one for just like ease of access or whatever. I don't think it's necessarily the right answer. I'm just saying it just because. But A Link to the Past otherwise probably too. So it's Zelda 2. That's the one.
Side scrollers. I like side scrollers. I probably like
there you go.
You would probably hate Zelda 2.
Yeah, probably.
There's a lot of that. I don't know if that still happens as much because you don't play video games anymore, unless it's on your Steam Deck, I guess. But people are like,
for 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. You should play this game, like Xenoblade. Xenoblade was the biggest one, where people were like, "Yo, Bob would love Xenoblade." I'm like, no, he would hate
no, there's
that
no
game.
world I would ever like that game.
And you guys would be pissed because like it's exclusively people that want you to play it because they think you're gonna love it, and the whole stream's just gonna be like you talking about how bad it is. So like, it's like you don't want that. So yeah, any Zelda game that's 3D, that's not Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, Wind Waker to a lesser extent, but I'm suspecting that if I play it again more recently, I'm going to find reasons for it to not deserve that. But we'll see if they port it.
Yeah, right. Next up, Alec asked, what normal everyday food would you feed someone you hate?
Who do I hate?
Define normal everyday food. Because there's normal everyday, like there's food that people eat that's like not like this. For like at one point in time, liver was normal food.
Yeah, right.
You know. And if that counts as normal everyday food, I guess that.
I mean, we tried to get burgers around 4th of July, and they were just closed, I guess, for holidays or whatever, from a place that had liver and gizzard on the menu. Which,
I mean, you live in the South too, so I think that liver's probably more normal there too. Do they got a nut
like
allergy?
Hot dogs with peanut butter and horseradish.
Do they got a nut allergy?
I mean, yeah, true. There you go.
Are they allergic to anything? Probably something related to that, I guess.
I'd say. We'll say spam. Spam's just gross.
How much do I hate this person?
Spam can be good.
Alec was talking about
if
spam
it's just
in
spam,
the old
then
people
no.
chat. They had
think of something that's like deceivingly
gross.
Yeah, like fucking like almond butter or something. Like, oh, I just want peanut butter, man. Why has it got to be weird? You know.
You ever get
like make them I don't know, coffee or whatever, but like put Splenda in it or something? To me, death is what I say to that.
Coffee, but it's like store brand, like instant, like something like that.
I forgot what I was
Alex
saying.
said evil. There you
go. So I don't know if you've seen this. He's a regular in both of our chats. Edward Bova.
Oh yes.
How
many characters is this question?
It's not that many compared to him usually. But no, this isn't a question for him. This is a question from me based on him related to the question that we just answered. Okay. Have you ever seen his vegan diatribe?
No, I didn't.
This man hates vegans. Hates them.
Really?
With a passion.
Let's get into it.
It's fiery. It's fiery passion. He was like talking about vegan food or something like that. And he was like, I don't like vegans because vegans hate people that eat meat and want them to all not be able to ever eat meat again. And that's not right. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true, man. I think that's probably true for some of them. But I think most people just don't care what you eat.
We got to get him to watch a Willow stream. Willow Davis.
Yeah.
Big time vegan.
Yep.
I also don't like vegan food
until
you have good vegan food. And then you're like, wait a minute, something's going on here.
But yeah, no,
I had vegan mayonnaise once, and that was the worst thing.
Like mayonnaise, so that sounds good.
Wait, what?
I mean, I also don't really like mayonnaise, and it was worse than that.
No, I understand that.
Oh,
I understand that.
Yeah.
But why does it sound good?
Because it's mayonnaise without the like egg and shit that
but
makes
you
it
like egg.
Gross. I like egg, but don't make it watery and white and put it all over.
Yeah.
I want an egg in egg form. I don't need it. I don't need the worst part of the. It's
with your unlimited
like
bacon.
Farty tasting egg in a sauce. Like I don't need that.
Mayonnaise.
That's not why I like egg.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
So there it is. I realized I missed 2 questions from Twitter, so I put them in here real quick. Ibrahim asked, how important is to gaming culture is the third-party periphery in a market that's becoming more harsh to non-proprietary equipment?
The fact that he said, so this is Ebe. You met Ebe, Bob, at Too Many Games. Yeah. The fact that he said periphery is such a Ebe thing. Like, oh, we think about third-party peripherals.
Progressive rock.
Yeah. We even think about accessories. What do you think about the periphery in the gaming industry? You know, such a thing. This is a Bob question.
The metal bands? Is that what we're talking about?
This is a Bob question.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. This is a Bob question.
I don't know how important it is. I love third-party periphery. But I'm not sure how important it is because the first parties are doing a pretty good job.
I think
pretty much across the board.
The thing that's wild is like I feel like recently, not super recently, but relatively recently, third parties have become relevant at all. Because like for such a long time, third party hardware, like as far as like controllers and stuff like that, had a bad rep. Like you give those to the people you don't like. You know, it's like I'm using the first party controller. You gotta use the Mad Cats. You know what I mean? Like so,
and they've gotten a lot better. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But
I mean, also I think just the fact that like people are so used to buying knockoff things on Amazon and stuff in general, especially the casual market and whatnot, that like until AJ bought me a first party pro controller, I was like, I'm just gonna get one that's got pretty good reviews, and it was $38 and it was fine, you know, and like I could see, and then got the real one and it's a lot better, but still, you know, like people, I feel like if somebody did ask me, they're like, hey, they're looking for a second controller or whatever and not trying to break the bank, and I was just like, you know, that one that I got was fine, you know. So you can get that, and I feel like just overall that's not a bad thing. Just that now people can have multiplayer, for example, a little bit more easily in a household that, you know, is a little bit more strapped for cash because money sucks.
For sure.
That's a good point, that because first party controllers and stuff are a lot of money now.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. I guess it is a little important to have third party stuff, but otherwise, third party stuff has been great. They've been in some cases better than first party stuff, but
right. Like the luxury ones or whatever.
I'm not sure how important it is because first parties are doing pretty good by themselves.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, if people had, you know, if you've got 3 people in your household who want to play a game and there weren't third party solutions, people would just spend more money eventually, you know, maybe save up a little bit more and get them. So like, it's not like it's going to change the world for that not to be the case.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I'm
nice
curious how much that, I mean, like how that exact dynamic works for like people on average. Like I know, I definitely like, obviously there's people that are like, I don't want to spend that much on a controller. I'm going to get the third party thing. But I know even me, like I know about this stuff and I know that it's relatively good now. The front of my mind knows that, but my subconscious is like, I see Parker tweet that he got this $30 controller that I never heard of. And I'm like, nah, man, I'll get you the real controller. You know, I wonder if that's like how like consumers still are now, because I know that was a thing. I don't know if it's now a thing now that they are better.
I think that the perception's changed, but it's hard for me to say because
you're so deep.
Yeah, I'm very deep in it, and the people who watch me are also very deep in it. So I don't know what like working at GameStop, if I like try to sell somebody like a Mad Catz controller, would they freak out? You know.
I feel like I want to do like just some anecdotal research or whatever, because I feel like, you know, I've got a lot of friends that are in just the very much casual market and am curious what kind of that looks like for them. And so I feel like probably they do have like a pro controller and then like 2 or 3, you know, $30 ones or something where they don't need NFC readers and they don't need probably even gyro or something.
Yeah.
I mean, when I did work at GameStop, I remember we had like these like $10 like jelly like Xbox controllers, and people would come in and be like, what do you got that's like cheap? And I'm like, here you go. And they're like, oh, let me buy 4 of them. Fuck it. So
yeah,
I guess it's
Mark
fun.
said, I was just remembering how somebody loved a third-party GameCube controller with a fan in it and realized it was literally Bob.
Oh, yeah.
And me.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's me.
All right, 2 more questions. Irv asked, or ERV asked, has Bob always looked like Dave Grohl, or is it the coffee?
Might be the call. Fresh pots. That's how Dave Grohl.
So there's that. Last question. Last question of the weekly podcast, y'all. Here we go. Mark asked, what is your dream merch for your channel?
I don't know. I think that's going to be part of the extra time that I have now. It's figuring it out, because like I need to find somebody to make it. I need to find a good design, because there's a few different places that we can go as far as like fulfillment. Like that part's not hard. It's just I want a design that's good that I would buy.
Like a logo on a shirt.
I don't want to do that though. Like I could do that for sure. But like that I wouldn't. I don't know if I would buy that if I was a viewer. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'm trying to think of or not think of a way, because I know a way in theory. It's just I need to find somebody to execute, because I don't think I could.
Which that's a hard thing with all of it. Like is, you know, like you said earlier about like, oh, if we had more money to get somebody to do for videos, do like 3D renders or whatever. It's like, yeah, true. But also then it's like finding somebody that can do them in the same way that we want to. Like for a lot of things, that feels like a little tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep. But I don't know, stuff that looks good that is like related, but it doesn't scream, hey, I'm wearing YouTuber clothes, you know, like that's all of it for me. I just want something that people will like genuinely want to wear. And it's kind of like, that's also directly related to something we were just talking about earlier, where it's like, I'll try to like poll people and be like, hey, what's the type of stuff? Like, what's an aesthetic that you like? Like, what are the type of clothes that you like? And they're like, hey, whatever you make, I'll buy it because I like your channel. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But I want you to want to wear it because it looks good, you know, not just because.
You have to ask people questions framed a certain way. Like you can't let them know that you're trying to make clothes for your YouTube channel, because then they're going to try to give you answers curated towards that. The question is, what do you normally wear? Where do you normally shop? And what do you buy? It's that way they'll I go to H&M, I buy the regular t-shirts. And it's like, okay, let me see these t-shirts. Then you go look at the t-shirts. You're like, okay, I want to make something like this. Otherwise, if you're like, hey, I want to make t-shirts for my YouTube channel, they're going to be like, oh, you should put your logo on.
They start picturing whatever things. Yeah.
And I don't want to do that, because I think like no matter how much people want it to be the case, you're not going to like grow because you have your logo on a shirt. Like that's a separate business. Right. That is a different thing, you know, like, so I want to treat it like that. I want to treat it in the same way that I would like, not just be like, oh, I'm just going to throw up, you know, like any old footage and just talk for 30 minutes. I wouldn't do that. I'm going to script the video. I'm going to highly edit it. I'm going to do animations and stuff. So I want to treat another separate thing in that same way, you know. So like that is the through line. It's like, yeah, it has our like general aesthetic, you know, it has like our colors and stuff like that, but it also has our like values in terms of like how we treat things that we put out, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for what it's worth, it is also worthwhile for part of that lineup of things to be a logo on a thing, in case somebody wants to like 100% rep the thing, you know, as it is. But then also, like, if there's other parts that are like part of things that are part of our branding that are more subtle, where like people, you know, I don't know, like the little arrows and stuff moving around, those kinds of things that are part of the branding that are more subtle, that those can kind of exist as a thing where like it just looks nice, but then somebody who watches the channel might be like, "Oh, that's a redirect thing, right?" Like, yeah, it is.
So,
and besides that,
like I've said, I put a lot of thought into this specifically. Spoilers. When we do that, when I do figure out the other part of the merch, I want to do that, like just the logo on the shirt, logo on a hat, whatever, because I think that is like the like easy entry point. The like, oh, here's a $15-$20 t-shirt. Easy, you know, but then have the other stuff that's like, okay, more thought out. It costs more, but it's because it costs more to make, and because it is more thought out and more like,
I mean, maybe it's the like I feel like we talked about this even a long time ago, but it's the bits, whatever bits there are. So like theoretical pairs and whatnot. It's those kinds of things.
I think those will also fit in the like lower.
Yes.
And like if they're just bits, they would be the like cheaper, like graphic tee kind of vibe, but the other stuff would be more like, that would be the harder thing to find in terms of like how to make that happen. And I don't want to like sporadically do it. I want to, like, if we're going to do it, I want to do it. So I want to have that, the harder part figured out, so that the easy part that we're just talking about can also just happen. Like that's something that you just press the button and it's like, okay, there we go.
Yep.
But
There it is. This the last part of Mark's question to close us out. Also, what podcast should I listen to while I do yard work on Saturdays now? And a big old congrats on 250 episodes.
Well,
I think listen to Silence and Remember.
Bob has two podcasts. He has two.
Hey,
That's
man.
right.
You got the podcast guy right here. I got podcasts coming out the wazoo. Okay.
I still want to be on the Nintendo podcast, by the way.
So I asked you if you were going to be at
Too Many Games.
PAX. No, at PAX. Because I was going to have you on with Xeon.
You should have told me that when it came.
I didn't want you to feel bad. I didn't want you to go for that or feel bad.
That's
that you weren't
literally
going to
why I didn't go, because I wanted to have a reason to go. Like, for Too Many Games, for PAX East, it's easy. So it's like I can go just to hang out, and that's fine. I don't feel bad about that. But to go to Seattle, like, that's like a time and more financial investment. So I feel like I need to have a reason. I think that's a good enough reason.
Well, no. This was PAX. This was PAX East.
Oh, well, even more so. But yeah, it's a good enough reason. I would have did that. Just like I would
didn't
come.
want you to go just for that. That's, go just for an hour long.
No, I would have went for the hour long thing, and that would have been like the straw that broke the camel's back on just hanging out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And the same way that's usually Nintendo. Like when Nintendo goes to PAX East, I go to PAX East. Because Animal Crossing, like I literally went to PAX East, and my whole thing was like, I want to play Animal Crossing because that's going to be the video that I make, and that's the thing that's going to like pay for me to be there, But so like recently, PAX East hasn't really had that, so that's why I don't usually go. But I would have went for that. But yeah, anyway, listen to Bob's podcast. You already know.
Yeah, do the Wolf Den podcast, Nintendo. We got enough people watching that. We need more people on the Wolf Den podcast. Okay.
True.
Go watch that one. Also, Twitch streams are basically like podcasts.
Yeah, they're podcasts.
True.
We need to do something on Twitch. We haven't done a Twitch thing in a long time.
I haven't done a Smash anything in a long time.
I don't just mean Smash. We gotta play. We talked about playing. It Takes Two. We gotta play something like that. We gotta play something like that.
Oh God.
It'd be hilarious.
There's what's that game? Bread and Fred. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I heard of that.
It's like basically
it's
getting
like
over
like one of those fighting games, but it's like a co-op.
Yeah.
Like you're the penguins. I've heard of that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we gotta do something like that. But yeah, also we have the Patreon podcast still. That still happens every month.
Oh. So you still have a podcast?
Yeah, we still have a podcast. It's just not as frequent, and it costs money. Yeah. But it's easy entry point. You could, if you have Amazon Prime, that qualifies you. You can listen to it for that. You got a freaking YouTube member, all this. You get all those perks, and you get the podcast. So you still get your podcast fix. And plus, like we said, we're still doing this show, but just when it is warranted, instead of every single week. Without fail. But I think we're good.
That's true.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thanks for listening to the podcast today and every other day that you did these 250 episodes. Subscribe to Bob, subscribe to Dan, subscribe to us, do all this stuff. We don't have
a thread. Oh my God, thanks
threads.
for having me.
Of course. Anytime.
Make
but
a thread.
Except never again, because it's not happening anymore. Anyway, goodbye. Goodbye.